So this week we're talking about Wikipedia, and if you're a hermit that's been living under a rock, then you won't know what it is, but to all of those people in the real world, you know that it's this massive online encyclopedia. It's actually got 3.3 million articles according to one of the readings this week, and it's one of the top 10 most popular websites in the entire world. Basically anyone can edit it, you don't even have to sign up, you can just go in and edit, and it's kind of like a bottom-up crowdsourced encyclopedia, and the volunteers that write it aren't paid anything. So I'm going to start off with the much more upbeat of the two articles this week, and that is Wiki Hacking, Open Up the Academy with Wikipedia, and that's by Adrienne Wadewitz, Anne Ellen Geller and John Beasley Murray. So these three authors have kind of come together to write this article and collaborated their ideas, much like you would on a Wikipedia article, so they're mirroring that technique. And what's unique about these three people is they've also all incorporated Wikipedia into their physical forms of teaching. So they often refer to Wikipedia as Hackney Academy. So it allows anyone to become the knowledge makers. I can become a knowledge maker, my sister can, my nan can. So we're not kind of stuck in this hierarchy where we're being lectured at by the more knowledgeable. It's much more democratic and anyone can have a say or have a go at editing. So part of this reliability could come from the fact that Wikipedia is centred on this constant updating and reviewing of articles, and talk pages are used specifically for this. So they allow editors to see the development of articles. So this isn't only interesting, but it could also really help in research projects and essays. So you can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes and how an article's become what it is. So editors can kind of critique a question of others' work and add to the knowledge in the article to make it as sound as possible and as useful and resourceful as possible. The article does also mention a similar project to the one I am doing this week, and they call it the article development assignment. So basically this week we're in two groups and we've got to create a Wikipedia page based on a term we've been given, and there's a similar concept that happens in this reading. And the authors of this reading are saying that basically allows students to build on their researching skills, their citing skills, their summarising and quoting skills, which are key skills in institutions such as universities. So it's a valuable project to do because Wikipedia is really tight on its sources. You've got to make sure that if you say something, it's neutral, that it's balanced, and that you've got a source to say where it came from, else it's going to get deleted. So it's a valuable process for students to learn from. And likewise they say it allows common-based peer production. So this is where all students are equally in control of the writing rather than there being someone at the top that's telling them what they can and can't do and what they shouldn't write. So there's no authoritative instructor, it's more peer-based, and everyone gets to have a say in the writing that they do. So whilst this article is quite utopian in its approach to Wikipedia, they think that it should be used in students' learning and in the classrooms and in lectures, and I still don't know if it's quite there yet. I mean, maybe it's because I've had it drilled into me that it's a bad source, you can't use it in academic writing, that I believe maybe it shouldn't be used in academic writing still, and they do take a very utopian approach to it. So I'm not sure I'm totally agreeing with what they're saying in the article, particularly because I read the second article first, and that's kind of swayed my opinion too, but I'll come on to that later. But one of the things I do agree with in this article is the fact they say it's a good idea that the likes of historians could perhaps devote one day of their time to improving entries in their area of expertise, and then they can kind of just completely enhance the quality of the articles that they are knowledgeable about, which will make Wikipedia an even more reliable source. Again, this is quite utopian. Historians might not want to waste their time, but they could probably use their time other ways, and they might not believe that Wikipedia is perhaps worthy of their time. And I say this particularly due to the second article from this week, which is Revenge, Ego and the Corruption of Wikipedia by Andrew Leonard, and it paints quite a different picture, the happy, colourful picture that this one paints about Wikipedia. I actually found this article more interesting than the first one, and I guess it's because it takes a more negative stance, and negativity sometimes is a little bit more interesting than a utopian view. But this particular article is all about a Wikipedia editor that has now been banned, thankfully. His real name is Robert Young, but his username on Wikipedia was 40. And during this reading, I was kind of highlighting bits with exclamation marks and writing liar and oh my god, because it goes to show how Wikipedia kind of does have its flaws, and how the likes of people such as Quarty can get away with sabotaging Wikipedia articles and undermining the whole process just because he holds a grudge from a few years back. And so it was really quite interesting. Basically, this Quarty character was responsible for revenge edits. His work wasn't very well received at a writer's workshop, and so he just held grudges with the man who ran it and writers that were better received than him at the workshop. And he was hacking their Wikipedia pages, removing links, deleting text, etc., and just destroying their articles. And he was also creating these sock puppets that are referred to. And sock puppets are basically single accounts made to do one or two edits, and then they're deleted and completely disappear. So it goes to show Quarty's dedication to this sabotaging, and I only think, why could he not have invested so much time and effort into making the Wikipedia articles better, rather than ruining the work that's already on there? So it's quite sad when you kind of get to the bare bones of it, that someone has this mentality that they're just going to go out there and ruin other people's works because they've got a grudge. These are grown people we're talking about, and this is happening on the internet. So thankfully Quarty was finally caught after years of this revenge editing, and lots of accusations and emails and lying on his behalf. And you have got to ask how many other people out there are doing the same and are being spiteful and undermining the work of Wikipedia volunteers. And I think Wikipedia's lack of rules are kind of what makes this possible, and for the likes of Quarty to thrive. So whilst lack of rules might be appealing and all about freedom and democracy and free speech and anyone could have a go, Quarty could take full advantage of this by remaining anonymous, so no one could really track him down. So it worked in his favour actually. So you do have to ask, Wikipedia is classed as an unreliable source, and it is partly due to these people who are kind of ruining it for the rest of us. A good quote from this article was, "Wikipedia is not truth. Wikipedia, like any other text, is not reality. It's the great postmodern novel." And that's what Quarty, aka Robert Young, physically said. And so he's basically saying truth and reality doesn't exist in this postmodern society. So it's scary that so many of us do rely on something such as Wikipedia, and like I mentioned in the other article, that academics are going to it as a first source to gain knowledge, when it could be constructive by grudge-holding authors. So that's quite a awful thought, because I do rely on it. If I need a bit of information, I'm just like, I'll Google it, and the first thing that comes up is Wikipedia. You look at it, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, this isn't reliable, I wouldn't use it in an essay. But then, if you're just looking at it for everyday things, you think, right, yeah, that's true, great, I'll take that fact along with me. So it's made me question just exactly what I am reading and what I am physically believing.